Burnout, not just a figure of speech anymore. It's actually been declared a legitimate medical diagnosis by the World Health Organization.
It is officially defined as a syndrome resulting from chronic workplace stress that has not been successfully managed.
This is the face of burnout. The look of someone running on fumes, completely drained, with zero motivation to keep going. Trust me, I know that feeling all too well. Day after day, it's the same exhausting cycle. You drag yourself through work, have no energy for anything else, and then collapse into bed just to do it all over again. Burnout makes every task feel like climbing a mountain. But I'm here to tell you, there is a way out of this draining treadmill of burnout. In this video, we have compiled 5 strategies, backed by research, to help conquer burnout and recharge your batteries for good. It's an affliction that spares no one, not even the rich, successful, and famous. Just ask celebrities like Shawn Mendes, who had to cancel his world tour last year to focus on his mental health after burning out.
Songwriter writing in a note to fans. As you guys know, I had to postpone the past few weeks of shows since I wasn't totally prepared for the toll that being back on the road would take on me. After speaking more with my team and working with an incredible group of health professionals, it has become more clear that I need to take the time I've never taken personally.
Or Naomi Osaka, the tennis superstar who openly shared her burnout struggles after withdrawing from the French Open.
Naomi Osaka has withdrawn from the French Open. In a candid statement on social media, the 23-year-old shared she had suffered long bouts of depression since the U.S. Open in 2018.
Even moguls like Sandra Bullock have had to confront the harsh realities of becoming burned out from relentless work.
Bullock expressed her desire to spend more time with her family and to have a less hectic schedule in an interview with The Hollywood Reporter. "I don't want to be beholden to anyone's schedule other than my own," she said. "I'm so burned out. I'm so tired, and I'm so not capable of making healthy, smart decisions, and I know it."
No amount of money, fame, or success can shield you when unrelenting stress and the excessive demands we place on ourselves eventually exact their brutal toll. And who better to shed light on this than the brilliant mind behind its diagnosis, Dr. Christina Maslach.
Discovered with all of this research over the years by many people around the globe is that it is a response to chronic stressors, in this case in the workplace, could be elsewhere in your life, but chronic, let me underline that, that means everyday stuff. It's not just a crisis, it's not just the emergency, it's the things that happen all the day that begin to wear you down.
So, what can you do to overcome burnout and avoid feeling like this? Before we can begin addressing burnout, we need to frankly recognize and admit to ourselves when we're suffering from it. This isn't about wallowing. It's about having enough self-awareness to notice when we've hit a critical tipping point. As mentioned, burnout doesn't happen overnight. It insidiously builds over weeks, months, even years of prolonged, excessive stress that we've normalized and swept aside instead of properly managing.
You want to recognize the cynicism, the fact that you're at work and you simply don't want to be there, you're burning out, you're not able to enjoy the things you used to enjoy.
A complete emotional detachment and loss of passion for the very work that once invigorated you. When you start feeling that pervasive cynicism and apathy, it's a blaring signal that burnout has tightened its grip. Maybe you're experiencing physical and mental exhaustion long after leaving the office, or finding it harder to experience joy and satisfaction from hobbies or relationships that formerly recharged you. These are all insidious burnout symptoms that often get brushed aside as temporary stresses. But when they become the norm, rather than the exception, you owe it to yourself to hit pause. Having recognized burnout symptoms, the next strategy we are borrowing is from Oma Agbai's insightful TED Talk on this topic, for reclaiming your energy and zest for life.
The first step is to clear your plate. One of the most important parts of clearing your plate is clearing your mind.
Clearing your plates, clearing your mind. When your mind is constantly buzzing with thoughts, worries, and a never-ending to-do list, it's impossible to recharge. That's why so many successful leaders swear by
Bill started to take Think Weeks back in the 90s when he was still running Microsoft. He would travel to Hood Canal and spend 1 week there alone, reading and thinking. He'd absorb stacks of books and technical papers, anything that could help him understand the future.
Hitting life's reset button by intentionally clearing their mental plates from time to time. No distractions, no inputs, just pure mental solitude.
The most power nap you could ever get.
Today I meditated twice.
It's like a kickstart for your day. It just centers you.
Meditation changed both of our lives, and now our kids do it.
I learned how to meditate, and it's been very valuable.
By giving your brain a break from the incessant demands, you create rare and critical white space to decompress, reframe unhealthy thought patterns, and simply be present. This is such a simple concept, but utterly crucial for reversing that draining state of burnout by allowing your body and brain to finally relax, reset, and prepare for the stretches ahead. To truly clear your mind and overcome burnout, you must take the critical step of fully disconnecting from work for an extended period. And I mean entirely unplugging. No emails, no calls, no slacking the team.
When you go home, a big thing to think about is simply get away from this for a while. Even if it's just for 20 minutes, 30 minutes, disconnect from your cell phone so you're not constantly on it. And that doesn't just necessarily mean work, but social media as well.
Because how many of us have tried taking a vacation only to repeatedly check that inbox and fire off replies every few hours? That's not a mental reset. That's just slightly loosening the shackles briefly. Burnout is a chronic condition stemming from months or years of persistent, unrelenting stress. And honestly, that can't be undone by a 3-day break. You can't make a dent in remedying that if you don't fully sever ties with the sources of that stress, even if just temporarily. Disconnecting isn't just good self-care advice. It's an absolute necessity for renewing yourself. By removing all the digital leashes, the non-stop pings and reminders of looming deadlines, you finally allow your body and mind to downshift into their natural restorative state. So, if you're serious about beating burnout, you must get ruthless about detaching for a significant stretch. Use every technical boundary, out-of-office messages, routing calls elsewhere, anything to build that buffer between you and your workplace responsibilities. It's not an indulgence, it's a critical self-preservation tactic. We've talked about clearing your mind, disconnecting from work, but now we need to double down on establishing firm boundaries. Because a huge driving force behind burnout is our inability to maintain a healthy work-life balance. Too often we get caught up in cultures of fear and desperation. An unspoken sense that you can never admit weaknesses, never say no to extra demands, never reveal you're struggling, lest you get labeled as uncommitted or replaceable.
It's a culture of fear. And a fear means you don't dare say no if someone calls and says you have to come in now and whatever, not necessarily the emergency, whatever. You don't reveal any sign of weakness. It's almost like asking a question or pointing out a dilemma or just saying you're not feeling well that day or something like that is going to be taken by others as a sign like, oh, you just dropped down the list for whatever.
That constant undercurrent of anxiety that you're always being evaluated, that any crack in the facade could jeopardize your job security or advancement opportunities. Well, it's an incredibly toxic mindset that breeds presenteeism, forcing yourself to power through illnesses, family obligations, burdensome workloads, because you've been conditioned that self-care is a sign of weakness. If you want to avoid burnout's misery, that mindset is utterly unsustainable. You have to get savvy about setting boundaries, drawing lines, and prioritizing your needs sometimes over that of your employer. Whether it's implementing strict no-work policies after certain hours, pulling back on saying yes to every request, or just getting real about what's a true emergency versus an inconvenience, you have to start defending your work-life balance.
Try and take time off from work if you can, and that means just completely disconnecting. And like you said, over the 3-day holiday, hopefully people were able to do that and they were able to get away a little bit, and that can reinvigorate you. And if worse comes to worse and none of these seem to be working, then simply look for another job if you can.
Practice these proven strategies to finally overcome burnout and regain your energy, passion, and enthusiasm for life. If this resonated, Show some love by hitting the like button and subscribing for more content. Thank you for watching.